mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, O Lord, I pray to Thee, guide my footsteps, enlighten my mind, that at every moment and in all things I may do exactly what Thou wantest me to do. With love and blessings, says our Divine Mother.
An unknown face of fate, a terror ominous, mute, felt more than seen. Behind our sea by day, our couch by night, a fate lurking in the shadows of our hearts. The anguish of the unseen that waits to strike. To know is best, however hard to bear.
Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo from the collective works of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, volume 32, page 25, topic 3 things one must have. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, if you desire transformation, put yourself in the hands of the Divine Mother and her powers without cavil or resistance, and let her do unhindered her work within you. 3 things you must have: consciousness, plasticity, unreserved surrender. For you must be conscious in your mind and soul and heart and life and the very sense of your body, aware of the Divine Mother and her powers and their working. For although she can and does work in you, even in your obscurity and your unconscious parts and moments, it is not the same thing as when you are in an awakened and living conscious union or communion with her. All your nature must be plastic to her touch. All your nature must be plastic to her touch, not questioning as the self-sufficient ignorant mind questions and doubts and disputes, and is the enemy of its enlightenment and change, not insisting on its own movements as the vital in man insists and persistently opposes its refractory desires and ill will to every divine influence, not obstructing and entrenched in incapacity, inertia and tamas, as man's physical consciousness obstructs and clinging to its pleasure in smallness and darkness, cries out against each touch that disturbs its soulless routine or its dull sloth or its torpid slumber. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the unreserved surrender of your inner and outer being will bring this plasticity into all parts of your nature. Our Lord says, consciousness will awaken everywhere in you by constant openness to the wisdom and light, the force, the harmony, the beauty, the perfection that come flowing down from above. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, even the body will awake and unite at last its consciousness, subliminal, no longer to the supramental superconscious force, feel all her powers permeating from above and below and around it, and thrill to a supreme love and ananda.
His words set free the spring of cosmic faith. The truth thou hast claimed, I give to thee the truth. Heaven's greatness came, but was too great to stay. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This day returning, Satyavan must die.
Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, but be on your guard and do not try to understand and judge the Divine Mother by your little earthly mind that loves to subject even the things that are beyond it to its own norms and standards, its narrow reasonings and erring impressions, its bottomless aggressive ignorance, and its petty self confident knowledge. The human mind, shut in the prison of its half lit obscurity, cannot follow the many sided freedom of the steps of the divine Shakti. The rapidity and complexity of her vision and action outrun its stumbling comprehension. The measures of her movement are not its measures. Bewildered by the swift alternation of her many different personalities, her making of rhythms and her breaking of rhythms, her accelerations of speed and her retardations, her varied ways of dealing with the problem of one and of another, her taking up and dropping now of this line and now of that one, and her gathering of them together, it will not recognize the way of the supreme power when it is circling and sweeping upwards through the maze of the ignorance to a supernal light. Open rather your soul to her. Open rather your soul to her and be content to feel her with the psychic nature and see her with the psychic vision that alone makes a straight response to the truth. Then the mother herself will enlighten by the psychic elements your mind and heart and life and physical consciousness and reveal to them too her ways and her nature. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, avoid also the error of the ignorant mind's demand on the divine power to act always according to our crude surface notions of omniscience and omnipotence. For our mind clamors to be impressed at every turn by miraculous power and easy success and dazzling splendor. Otherwise, it cannot believe that here is the divine. The mother is dealing with the ignorance in the fields of the ignorance. She has descended there and is not all above. Partly she veils and partly she unveils her knowledge and her power, often holds them back from her instruments and personalities and follows that she may transform them the way of seeking mind, the way of the aspiring psychic, the way of the battling vital, the way of the imprisoned and suffering physical nature. There are conditions that have been laid down by a supreme will. There are many tangled knots that have to be loosened and cannot be cut abruptly asunder. And Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the Asura and the Rakshasa hold this evolving earthly nature and have to be met and conquered on their own terms in their own long conquered fifth and province. The human in us has to be led and prepared to transcend its limits and is too weak and obscure to be filled up, to be lifted up suddenly to a form far from beyond it. The divine consciousness and force are there and do at each moment the thing that is needed in the conditions of the labor. Take always the step that is decreed and shape in the midst of imperfection the perfection that is to come. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, but only when the supermind has descended in you can she deal directly as the supramental Shakti with the supramental nature. If you follow your mind, it will not recognize the mother even when she is manifest before you. Follow your soul and not your mind, your soul that answers to the truth, not your mind that keeps leaping at appearances. Trust the divine power, and she will free the godlike elements in you and shape all into an expression of divine nature, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo.
Once my heart chose and chooses not today. The word I have spoken can never be erased. It is written in the record book of God.
Next topic, the supramental change, from the same volume, page 17. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the supramental change is a thing decreed and inevitable in the evolution of the earth consciousness, for its upward ascent is not ended and mind is not its last summit, but that the change may arrive, take form, and endure, there is needed the call from below with a will to recognize and not deny the light when it comes, and there is needed the sanction of the Supreme from above. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the power that mediates between the sanction and the call is the presence and power of the Divine Mother. The mother's power and not any human endeavor and tapasya can alone rend the lid and tear the covering and shape the vessel and bring down into this world of obscurity and falsehood and death and suffering truth and light and life divine and the immortal's Ananda.